So Mercutio and Tybalt start fighting. Romeo now draws his sword, and he actually asks Benvolio to draw his sword as well, but in order to beat down their weapons, to stop the fight. He says, "Gentlemen, for shame, stop this outrage. Tybalt, Mercutio, the prince has expressly forbidden fighting in the streets of Verona. Hold Tybalt, good Mercutio." So he's begging them to stop, not only because Tybalt is now his family, but because the prince has also banned fighting, saying that if they fought again, something bad would happen. Now Romeo tries to break up the fight. He grabs Mercutio, and then Tybalt stabs Mercutio. Petruchio says, "Away, Tybalt." All the Capulets exit, and Mercutio says, "I am hurt. A plague on both your houses. I am sped." Is he gone and hath nothing? So he's asking Romeo, did he get away cleanly? Did he not get hurt? Did he not get wounded? And here I am, that I got stabbed, and he's fine? So Benvolio says, "What? Art thou hurt?" "Aye, a scratch. Marry, 'tis enough. Where is my page? Go, villain, fetch a surgeon." So he's saying, yeah, you know what, I got hit. It's a little bit of a scratch, but you know what, it hit me in the right spot, and it's enough. So he asked his servant, his messenger, his page to go get a doctor. Mercutio's page exit, and Romeo says, "Courage, man, the hurt cannot be much. It can't be that bad of a wound." And he said, "No, 'tis not so deep as a well, nor so wide as a church door, but 'tis enough, 'twill serve." So he didn't get stabbed or cut that deeply or that widely, but like I said, it hit him in the right spot, and Mercutio is confident that he's going to die. He says, "Ask me for tomorrow, and you shall find me a grave man." Basically, you will find me in a grave. I am prepared, I warrant, for this world. I am ready to be dead. And he says, "A plague on both your houses. Zounds, a dog, a rat, a mouse, a cat," referring to Tybalt, "to scratch a man to death, a braggart, a rogue, a villain, that fights by the books of the arithmetic." So he's saying, you know what, now that I fought Tybalt, I didn't think he was that good of a fighter. I could have taken him. Why the devil did you come between us? I was hurt under your arm. So he's like, you know what, Romeo, I would have won had you not stepped in. He stabbed me when you grabbed me. You distracted me. You let me die. And then Romeo says, "I thought it was for the best. I thought I was doing the right thing." And then Mercutio says, "Help me into some house, Benvolio, or I shall faint. A plague on both your houses." So Mercutio once again curses the Montagues and Capulets. "They have made worm's meat out of me. I have it, and soundly too, your houses." Exit Mercutio and Benvolio. So Mercutio, he curses the houses. He curses them with what he thinks might be his final breath. Romeo here says, "This gentleman, the prince's near ally." So we find out that actually Mercutio is a relative of the prince. So that's going to be big trouble if Mercutio dies. He says, "My very friend hath got his mortal hurt in my behalf. He got stabbed and killed because of me. My reputation was stained with the Tybalt slander, so I let Tybalt talk smack to me, and I didn't do anything. Tybalt, what an hour hath been my kinsman." So I was only married an hour ago. I got married an hour ago, and all of this has happened since then. How terrible this is. What bad luck. And he says, "Oh, sweet Juliet, thy beauty hath made me effeminate." So he's basically saying Juliet has made him weak. And now his temper has been softened when it was hard as steel before. Benvolio comes back, and he says, "Oh, Romeo, brave Mercutio is dead. That gallant spirit hath aspired the clouds, which too untimely here did scorn the earth." So Mercutio has died. And Romeo says, "This day's black fate on more days doth depend. This but begins the woe others must end." So basically this is foreshadowing here. He's saying, you know what, this day is only going to get worse. Someone is going to have to pay for this. And this is just the first domino that's falling. Because guess what? Tybalt is back. And Benvolio says, "Here comes the furious Tybalt back again." And Romeo, guess what? He is finally manned up here. He has found a way. He has found his rage. And he is going to actually fight and not try to be the peacemaker here. Alive in triumph, and Mercutio slain, away to heaven respective lenity, and fire-eyed fury be my conduct now. So basically he's saying, you know what? Let rage take over me. Now, Tybalt, take thy villain back again, that late thou gavest me from Mercutio's soul. So he's saying, call me a villain again. I'm ready to fight because you have killed my friend. Mercutio's soul is a little way above our heads, staying for thine to keep him company. Either thou or I, or both, must go with him. So he's saying, you know what? Either you or me, or the both of us, our souls are going to keep Mercutio's soul company. One of us must die. Tybalt says, thou wretched boy that didst consort him here, shalt with him hence. You're the one that's going to die. This shall determine that. So he's saying, you know what? You sent that letter. I'm accepting. Let's have our fight to the death. And they fight, and Tybalt falls. Benvolio says, Romeo, away be gone. The citizens are up. So everybody has now heard this ruckus, this fight in the streets. And Tybalt slain. Tybalt's dead now. Romeo has killed him. Stand not amazed, the prince will doom thee death. So if thou art taken, hence be gone away. So he's saying you need to get out of here because the prince is going to execute you. Romeo says, I am fortune's fool, I have bad luck. And then Benvolio is like, what are you doing? Go. So Romeo exits. The citizens of the watch, which would be kind of citizens that are on the watch for anything bad happening, come in. And they say, which way ran he that killed Mercutio? Tybalt that murderer, which way he ran? So basically they saw Tybalt kill Mercutio, but not Romeo kill Tybalt. So they're saying, where is Tybalt? And Benvolio says, there he is. He's lying over there. Benvolio didn't say he was dead, so they're like, hey, Tybalt, get up, man, let's go. The prince needs you to come. And oh boy, can this day get any worse? The prince enters, Lord Montague enters, Lord Capulet enters, Lady Capulet enters, Lady Montague enters, and so does a bunch of other Montagues and Capulets. The prince says, where are the vile beginners of this fray? So who started this fight? And Benvolio says, oh noble prince, I can discover all, I can tell you everything. The unlucky manage of this fatal brawl, there lies the man slain by young Romeo, that slew thy kinsman brave Mercutio. So basically he says, you know what, Tybalt there is dead, Romeo killed him, Mercutio is somewhere else, he's dead, Tybalt killed him. And Lady Capulet, here she is, she's kind of crying, she said, Tybalt, my cousin, oh my brother's child, oh prince, oh cousin, husband, oh the blood is spilled of my dear kinsman, prince as thou art true, for blood of our shed, blood of Montague, oh cousin, oh cousin. So basically saying, you have to punish the Montagues right here, right now. And then Prince is like, okay, chill for a sec, Benvolio, who started this fight? Who began this bloody fray? And then Benvolio, he goes here. He tells what happened. He says, Tybalt is dead. Romeo's hand did slay. Romeo killed him. Romeo that spoke him fair bade him bethink how nice the quarrel was and urged withal. So he's saying, you know what, Romeo actually trying to break up this fight. He wasn't interested in fighting. He kneed down, he took a humble knee, so he was like on his knees and saying, please don't fight. He could not make truce, so he couldn't get them to stop fighting. And then Tybalt was deaf to peace, he didn't want to hear it. With piercing steel at bold Mercutio's breast, who as all hot turns deadly point to point, and with a martial scorn with one hand beats cold death aside, and with the other sends it back to Tybalt. So basically he's saying, it was a good fight. They exchanged blows, they dodged the sword, even though we really didn't get the whole fight, it was kind of quick. Benvolio saying it was a good fight, and then Romeo, he came and tried to break it up until Tybalt stabbed him under, Tybalt stabbed Mercutio under Romeo's arm, and then he ran away. And that's what Benvolio tells the prince, but then he says he came back, he wanted to fight Romeo, and then Romeo had but newly entertained revenge. So now Romeo wanted to fight, and like lightning, for ere I could draw to part them was stout Tybalt slain. So before I could get in the middle of them, Romeo killed him. Lady Capulet says he is a kinsman of Montague. So basically, there's no reason why he would speak the truth. He speaks not true. And then Lady Tybalt obviously has very high opinions, and Mercutio says some 20 of them fought in this black strife. So he's saying, you know what, it was 20 versus 1, and they still barely killed Tybalt. And now she's saying, you need to kill Romeo. And then Prince says, Romeo slew him, he slew Mercutio, who now the price of this dear blood oath doth we owe. So he's saying, who is going to pay the price for Mercutio's death? And then Montague says, not Romeo, Prince, he was Mercutio's friend. So basically he's saying, you know what, he did justice. He executed justice by executing Tybalt. And then he says, and for that offense, immediately we do exile him. Hence, so the prince is actually not going to execute Romeo, but he's going to exile him instead, because technically he was fighting in self-defense, and he was fighting because Mercutio died, right? But he says, you know what, I have an interest in your heart's proceeding. Now you've made it personal because my family is dead because of this feud. My blood for your rude brawls doth be a bleeding. I am going to make sure I give you guys some punishment. I'm not going to listen to your excuses. You're not getting out of this one. Your tears, your prayers shall purchase out of abuses. So basically, they're in trouble now. And he says, let Romeo hence in haste. Make sure Romeo hears this. He needs to get out of here now, because mercy but murders, pardoning those that kill. It doesn't look good by pardoning killers. And then they all exit. And that is the dramatic ending of scene 1.